double generators stacked. That's a part right there. That's crazy.
Customers like Facebook, Amazon, Google, Apple.
You got over 1,000 employees building right here, right outside of Chicago.
Customer demand is booming like crazy. We're backlogs working on 2027 right now.
We're in a company right now called Advanced Machine and Engineering. Most people know our business for Hennig. In 1999, AME bought Hennig, and we got into all the ownership of all the machine protection, the chip conveyors, things like that. You know, we were just doing a lot of our own manufacturing here, and like what you can see, this is all just for our own shop, making parts for our customers. My uncle ran the milling department, and Willie, my grandfather, was always on his case, like why is it taking so long? Why are setups taking so long? So what he did is he put grids on everything. You know, all of our verticals have grid plates, all of our horizontals have grids, so you're not wasting time indicating stuff in, you're just dropping fixtures on and keeping the spindle turning. So you see we build with a lot of different systems. This is some Mighty Bite stuff. I know you guys show a lot of their stuff. This is a Swiss partner we have called Triag. It's got a really cool modular rail-based system. We do a lot of stuff with Shunk, with the VROS.
Uniforce clamps.
Yeah, we're trying, Uniforce from Mighty Bite. And we're trying to use, a lot of people wouldn't use like the 90 and 270 side of a tombstone. But you know, when I say mixed on the shirt, what we mean by that is put as much as you can in that envelope and keep that, actually lengthen the cycle and get more parts per cycle so you can use your God-given talent, creativity to do more than just open and close a door all the time. You know, so many people just, they buy a machine and they put one vise in there with one part and they sit there and they open and close the door and then they're like, oh, machining's boring, you know? It's boring because you're not being creative.
If you're a young machinist or pretty much any machinist, this is art right here. So when you look at each one of these tombstones and the way they fixture every single part, that's what we try to teach at Titans of CNC through our videos, is like just show you complex parts and how to hold complex shapes. Not in vices where the vice takes up too much room, by using Mighty Bites and different fixturing techniques, different little clamps and stuff. So every single thing that you're looking at, like think about the angle here, the angle there. So over here, horizontal, they flipped it up on that side. So you come over here with the Mighty Bites and the way the pins are, you have the Uniforce clamp. A lot of times I'll use the pit bull clamps to dig into the material, and then and you can actually machine like shapes into the pit bull clamps also. So if you're getting them, there's like machinable clamps and hardened clamps. I don't make money with Mighty Bite, but I'm just a fan. I've been using them forever.
So this is Caleb. He leads our...
What's up, Caleb? I know Caleb. What's up, brother?
Good to see you. Hey. So we call this the Advanced Engineering Group. So within that, we build automation systems that we're going to release kind of through you guys. Nice. Super excited about that for like loading and unloading machine tools. But we also still build those machines that our grandfather invented.
Yeah, so we do a ton of different types of saws. We have standard large saws that do material all the way up until a couple feet large. So we focus on the larger stuff mostly, not the small cuts. So this is stuff that's in like production environments. We're running like 24/7. In this case, this is actually a special saw where we're cutting beam. Can't say specifically what it's for, but it's basically to build masts. So really neat project, but we got an entire in-feed assembly where you can load a bunch of parts in, brings it into the saw. We're cutting at record speeds.
So we say record speed, and we see band saws, and we see plate saws, and these different types of saws. So what is the exact difference, and how fast actually is it?
Yeah, that's a good question. So speed-wise, it really, honestly, it depends on the material and the type of cut and the chips that we use, the teeth that we use. It's
depending on the
like,
material and
yeah,
all that.
So it really is really dependent. The big difference, though, is the speed might actually be similar over a one-piece cut,
okay.
But we're really getting the advantage is the continuous run.
Okay.
Right.
So thousands of parts.
Yeah. So you can see the head of this assembly is kind of tucked in there. It might be hard to see, but how massive this is compared to your average bandsaw. And so when you're really running in that 24/7 production environment, that's where something like this comes in.
And you guys do pretty much everything that you see right here is
yeah,
done?
Just about everything you see is manufactured here. some things we use with local suppliers, but most of it's manufactured in-house, all of it assembled here, programmed, tested, developed here in Rockford, Illinois.
Very cool.
And this specifically is pretty automated, so it goes through beams based on what's put in the recipes. And that actually can be imported from files. So for this customer, they're actually importing it from their ERP. So they can control this system with the beams that are put in place and run different parts consecutively.
Very cool.
So you'll also notice on this system, we're working with our sister company, and we have Hennig conveyors, both for the chips themselves and also for the crop and tail cuts, so the ends of the beam that we don't want, that we remove from the material. So on the Hennig side, they can have different types of conveyors for these different applications on the same machine, so it's a neat setup. Yeah, so this one right here is about 20 feet long, but we've done systems for parts that are up to 40 feet and larger, so it really depends on the need of the customer.
No one that in our audience, the general machine tool audience, is going to want to buy a machine like this. They're tailor-made for specific processes. But the reason we always show it on the tours is, our customers build machine tools. We build in partnership with them all the peripherals, so they need to see what we're capable of. We speak the same language. We have the same type of engineers. So working with us is really kind of like working with an extension of your team, and a lot of people say that, and then we prove it. 4 businesses that make this type of machine. 3 of them are in Austria, and then us in North America.
Oh man.
The original. Hey, check this out. So these are probably not original covers because this machine's a bit older than that, but yeah, Hennig, making machine protection for back when this was a modern machine.
Made in the USA.
That's right. We were just designers of machines. So when our grandfather invented this machine, he was just a designer, and then other people would make all the parts. He was doing so much design work, people were like, hey, can you make these? Can you make these parts that you're designing for us? And saw the opportunity, we started buying machines.
This is a Steep Taper 40 or a Cat 40, for example. And we manufacture these in large batches specifically for this customer, but it just depends on the customer with taper or the lengths. They always change. We have more over there, which are smaller tapers. But this is specifically a cell that only runs spindle shafts. So we do a lot of spindle shaft manufacturing, like I said, from different sizes and varying customers. When we're doing spindle shaft manufacturing, we only use air gauging here. So what that means is we have a gauge that instead of a hard gauge, we only use air gauging for the tapers as well as the dermal bearings. So we know it's to the exact precision that we need.
I think I'm already
All right.
That's a good one.
You started. That's the beer test. So you got to go in the middle.
We'll just stay here.
That's not fair. My arm's longer.
Oh, come on! Come on! Put it out.
So this is my guy, Edgar. Cool story too, because when he started, he was in our apprenticeship program. What was that, however many years ago?
18 years ago.
18 years ago, and now he's doing, these are so hard to make. What makes a spindle shaft super hard to make?
The precision of it. You got to hold the concentricity, roundness throughout the whole shaft, internally and externally.
So this is some air gauging technology that we use. We have so many different air gauge standards because we make so many different spindle shaft standards as well. Our competitors on tombstones will have finished goods imported from overseas. So they'll already have the grid machined into it, and they'll have just a few sizes on the shelf. As you can see, the tombstone graveyard, we stock so many different sizes and shapes, and then we get an order and we finish machine them exactly how they would want it. So it's do you want the holes on center? Do you want the holes off center? How do you want it? It goes from order onto our machines that I'll show you in just a second, and then we make them to exactly what the customer might need.
And what I really want to know is built on the rock, right?
Yeah.
Hennig, and then AME.com.
Yeah.
So you have all of these different brands. How do people actually purchase? If they want tombstones and work holding, where do they go?
Yeah, so you can get them from amrock.com, AMROK. It'll take you just to the work holding section of our site, or you can get them from Titans of CNC.
Oh man.
Yeah, AME.com is going to be our work holding, our automation systems that we're about to release through our partnership with Titan. Super excited about that.
He's a good sales guy. Look at that.
any of our like advanced engineering products, like our SlyTech system, our adaptive controls, tooling optimization, all of that you can find at ame.com. Hennig is more of the chip and coolant management side of things. When it's big fixturing, that we're a great fit. So anything up to 60 by 80 inches plates, that's like what we do on these big boring mills. So bigger than most companies that do work holding. A lot of it goes into, you know, aerospace, where they're doing huge parts, hogging off tons of material, like wing spars, things like that. With the way we do it, you know, everything is made to order. We have to operate with a quick response philosophy, and so we do a lot of work with the University of Wisconsin, QRM, Quick Response Manufacturing. It's lean, but through the focus of a time lens, and so that's the way that we can compete with people who have finished tombstones on the shelf in stock. So if you make huge plates and huge tombstones, you ship them to the customer and something's not lined up, they're gonna blame the fixture. That's just what happens. So we check everything that goes out the door, provide a CMM report. Most of the time there's something like off with their machine and they gotta correct it there. But when you're doing huge plates, huge tombstones, you gotta make sure the holes are exactly where you said they would be. Everything's to print. And so we got this monster Dia, which is now hexagon.
You're in the CMM.
I'm in the
basically.
CMM.
Yeah.
We always joke, like, if there's a tornado, here's where you want to be, because it's on all these air bearings. It's temperature controlled in here. As you can imagine, you start to do real big stuff, things shrink and grow. So yeah,
So
got to be able to check your work. And then I got one thing
Wait,
to show you.
wait. I love all this inspection,
Yeah.
calibration. You know, somebody legit works here.
And then check this out, dude. Have you seen that one before? Do you remember that guy?
Oh, I remember it.
That when you had that big tombstone we sent to you,
Is that the one?
that was the one, yeah.
Oh, that's the one. Look at that.
So what this is more of an integrated system for predictive maintenance, so not necessarily preventative maintenance. And what we have is a Power Check magazine, and it lives in the tool magazine of the machine. So what we do is every 2 weeks we have a program that runs and it checks the pull force and it automatically logs it in the software. So you can see over time your trends of pull force, and you know when it's slightly going to decrease. So you know when to change out the springs in the drawbar or when to get your spindle checked out and do some of your basic PM work. Why measuring your pull force is so important is not only for part quality, but also there could be taper corrosion, your tool life quality, your tool life in general, employee safety if a tool flies out. So there's a lot of aspects that go into pull force, because the pull force is really what's holding the tool into the spindle taper. And if you don't have that pull force in place, or at least the standard, you're not going to make a good part. And at the end of the day, your customer doesn't want that. So that's the main importance of measuring pull force.
Oh man, we got the YCM 5-axis right in. Crazy.
We've been talking a lot about fixturing today. You saw all the big tombstones and plates we do, but we do a lot for smaller work, 5-axis work. This is our own shop that we are looking at right now. These are parts that we run in our facility. So we're an automation integrator for systems like this pallet system here. We also are coming out soon with our own system that's manufactured all in-house. And we're really excited about that, partnering with Titan and the team on that aspect too. And if you're automating and you're walking away from the machine, what are the things that you kind of fear? And for most operators, that's going to be, hey, what if I break a tool, right? What happens then? What if I have issues with my coolant, right? And that's where I'm going to bring in my friend Cam here. We're going to talk a little bit about one of our products that we offer called SlyTech. So, Cam?
Yep. So SlyTech, we do machine monitoring, we do tool optimization, as well as IoT stuff. So on this machine here, we have IoT installed, so we're measuring coolant concentricity, coolant temperature, everything related to the peripherals. We're measuring the filter life on the mist collector, the filter life on the high pressure system. But what we're looking at over here is what we call our tool optimization system. Basically, it's tool load monitoring and adaptive controls. So it's a closed loop system. It's looking at the load on the tool, the chip load essentially, and then it's overriding the feed rate in real time. So it's truly adaptive to the process, to the material, the tooling. It takes a lot of operator input out of the equation. So the purple line is essentially the horsepower, the load of the spindle. The green line is the target, and the light teal line is the overridden feed rate. As the As the load increases on the tool, the feed rate decreases and vice versa. The company's called Slytech, so we do the machine monitoring, the TOS.
What's the website?
www.slytechinc.com.
Nice. You got like high pressure, you have the chip conveyor, like Hennig. I mean, you got Hennig on the top. A little bit of everything, right?
Yeah.
So
We're
good.
excited. We're excited to be a part of this. We've been working on with ICM for a while now.
Nice.
Advanced
Great
Machine.
company.
Oh,
Amazing.
Absolutely. Yeah, love it.
Shout out to YCM. Boom. So good.
And Advanced Machine, which is
Yeah.
where we are today. You know,
Yeah.
they're my sister company, and we just love that they're working with us, helping us out. We do what we can to help them out. So this
Very
is an
good.
example of something that we're actually providing them, which it's called a Veriflow.
Yeah. No, this thing is actually genius in the way that actually you can just, set the pressure like boom, 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 and it instantaneously just. We use these on all our machines. They're incredible.
Yeah, 1000
Very cool.
PSI, down to 250.
Yeah.
You can M-code control it, so it's really, really nice.
Yeah.
These machines, we're wanting to run them automated. So we want them to run lights out. So the type of conveyor you use is really important.
100%.
So that's where
And these are built right here, just outside of Chicago.
everything is built.
Rockford.
Yep, McChesney Park, Rockford, Illinois.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Made in the USA.
Got it.
So good. What's up, Cole? You taking these guys down yet or what?
Yeah, he's
Huh?
been there.
All
He's good.
day?
Yeah.
No.
He's
What's up,
probably
brother?
about like a
So
year away
good.
from being able to take me down,
Yeah?
which sucks.
I think you can probably do it right now.
Like a year ago.
I'll keep his attention and then I go for the leg. I just was talking with your dad. I mean, what an incredible journey this has been for you guys. Then you come over here, you got the making chips, and it's where you guys do your podcast.
Yeah.
And then you got like the whole bar set up. And out of all these different, fractions of the companies, how many employees total?
In the United States,
Yeah.
we're over 1,000. I think we're between 1,000 and 1,200.
1,000.
Yeah, when you count Hennig and AME together. Yeah.
Super good.
Yeah, if you could think of the biggest American machine tool builder, we know we buy more sheet metal than they do.
Awesome.
Most of it's not for the machine tool market, like he was saying, it's for the backup power generation enclosures that we build. But the only reason we can build them is because we were building so many enclosures for machine tools. We had like the infrastructure and the expertise, and so we got into that market. As you can know, with like everything that's going on with AI, and the world needs more data, right? And so with that comes all this backup power requirements, and you got to enclose that. That's what we do.
Super good. Oh man, look, everyone's here. What's up, man?
How you doing?
How you doing, man?
Good.
See you all over the place, brother.
Get around a little.
The man.
The newest member.
One of the cool things is like when you guys saw the Erbarmia come, we needed a tombstone. There was like a monster. Like there was like none in the United States, and you guys actually had one.
It's kind
Solve
of
that problem.
miraculous story. We had a customer in California who needed it was like an 800 millimeter machine or a 1,000 millimeter machine or something like that, and nobody stocks those. Right? And so
and you're gonna be like 6 month lead time. I'm like, no.
yeah, I gotta start filming next week.
I know.
And so we had a customer who like they lost the contract and they never took one out of the box, and they asked us if we wanted to buy it back, and we were like, no, because they're hard to get rid of, Well, then you called us like the next day. So total God thing.
Super.
And so it was like, actually, we will buy it back, and then we'll give it to Titan, and we ended up selling it later.
But one of the cool things is like that's what you guys do. You guys do so many different things here, but tombstones is a huge thing.
Yeah.
And you guys have some inventive. So like over here, can you explain what you got going on? Because you have like all of these different sides that you can machine at the same time.
Yeah, the actual workpiece that goes in here needs some machining from the side, so that's why we chose an octagon.
Nice. So you can like hit it over here, pivot, hit it on this side right there.
Yeah, here's a triangle. This is with shunk. Love to show
Got
shunk.
the Vero S, huh?
Yeah, exactly.
So like you see the Vero S right there.
Yeah, so if you you want to do plate stuff,
Very cool.
you drop it in.
You guys have been partnered with Shunk for a long time, huh?
Yeah, it all started. We were making some tombstones for them, for their customers, and doing all this integrated Vero S stuff, and yeah, we love it.
Yeah, no, I think it's really great, being part of the Build on the Rock program. As you can see, working with AME, AMROC specifically, and their partners, you really have a solution for just about any application out there. We always say work holding is one of the most neglected things in any shop. These AMROC solutions are perfect. They support, as you've seen already, a number of different modular work holding brands. So not only does it allow us to, you know, support multiple workflows in really any manufacturing facility, but, you know, if some customers are specific to a brand, or there's an application that requires a collet holder, something a little more modular like a tri-egg system, or a pneumatic solution like VROS, we're able to provide that with the Build on the Rock program.
What we're showing here is a mixed setup, you know, like all these different parts. You know, work together closely with your programming team, with your setup team, and put as much as you can in that machine at once. You know, prove it out, run it to production after that, keep your machines running. This weighs about the same as aluminum, but it's 10 times better for vibration damping than even cast iron. Our business, we're German immigrants. A lot of these partnerships came over with my grandfather's relationships. So 90% of them are machine tool oriented, and one of those partnerships is with a company called Ott Jacob. Pretty much everyone who builds or repairs a spindle is going to know what Ott Jacob is. It's kind of the core of the spindle, and the spindle is the core of the machine. We like to think of it that way. So,
like Nick was saying, we basically deal with the drawbar itself, and then on top of that, we deal with the spindle shaft. So that's that red anodized coating here. So in this case, we have a steep taper, like Nick was saying, set up with an Ott drawbar inside, and they build rotary union all the way to the gripper. So they build an entire system, and they're considered the gold standard, I would say, for tool clamping. When you're checking your spindle's pull force, this is checking actually the spring life. So basically over time, the springs are going to wear, so you have constant compression and tension depending on how many tool changes you have. And we have devices that actually can measure that. So you're being actually predictive maintenance instead of just preventative for the most part. So it goes both ways.
however many years of trying to explain AME and Hennig and everyone knowing who Hennig is, we just said, hey, why don't we just call it all Hennig? So I mean, we'll probably have to take this sign down and put it in front of the other building, but yeah. You know, and I think...
I mean, from the growth, that everything that you said, the incredible story about your grandfather,
yeah,
you know, meeting your father, you know, and just, like, you guys have an amazing family, man. Amazing. And then, like, just that you guys grew and bought Hennig, like that in itself is
it's like it's a crazy story. We were only supposed to buy the American part, the Hennig US, and probably the smartest thing my dad ever did, besides having a son after Noah, was when he bought Hennig, he said, hey, we just want first right if the whole Hennig group goes up for sale, the global group, and 9 months later we owned all of them.
That's
so because
awesome,
we had the first opportunity.
So now we're at Hennig, and this is a campus right here. So you got this building, you got a building in the back, you got buildings down the street. Boom, manufacturing happening right here. And we look at AME, you look at Hennig, you actually look at, you know, AMROC, you got over 1,000 employees building right here, right outside of Chicago.
I was all ready to jump in, like, how do we create a big, you know, holistic business system that drives continuous improvement? And we started back, well, what's actually the purpose? And so looked at 50, 100 mission vision statements for places, and I couldn't ever come up with anything. And then at the end of the day, I'm like, you know, at the end of the day, we're just trying to make our customers successful. And so we're like, well, that's it. So then we kind of just define the customer as all these, that inner ring, right? So external is who we sell to, internal is who you pass your work off to. So a laser is going to give their work to the bender to the welder to the paint booth to assembly. You know, have enough pride in our own work and enough respect for who we're going to give our work to. Suppliers is kind of like the Jerry Maguire, help me help you, right? If you want a good performance from a supplier, there's a role you can play in that as well. Employees is just from our people as a people standpoint. You know, we want people to go home from work feeling good, like Titans, the Titan team, right? You go over there and everyone's happy all the time. Community is important to us. My Opa, who we talked about, who started the company, given a chance to come to America to create a business for our family, and that stuck with him all the time. So as a rule of our company, 10% of our operating profit, we always give back to the community, and a lot of times in our local area. You know, partners, Titans, the CNC, right? Our global partners, everyone. Partners are a really important part of a business, right? So it's extremely important that we treat them as a customer, right? And give all of what we have into that partnership as well. And so that's how we define customers. So everything we do, we want to like ask ourselves, are we making these elements of our customers successful? Everything we do pretty much starts at this end of the building. We got 2 Bystronics laser and a Trump, and that will supply all of our conveyor product line. That will supply our Power Protect. Tons and tons of steel go through there every day. So We'll laser cut all our raw materials coming through here. So this Bystronics, this cuts pretty much dedicated to all our conveyor production. We'll do a maximum batch of 6 units here. We want to go as close to one piece flow as possible. We'll batch a little bit here just so we can get material yield and all that. And then as soon as we go to the press break, that's when we switch from our maximum batches of 6 to our one piece flow. So you'll start seeing the carts here. Every single cart's just one conveyor only. I've been friends with his family since high school. I wrestled with 3 of his brothers in high school at the same time.
So
hey,
good.
Caleb, Kenny, come here real quick. Don't try to run.
Come on back, come on back.
So this is Caleb, Kenny. They're both my brothers-in-law. So we got family from all over the place going working here. So, and they help manage and run our whole Power Protect operations here. So
Very cool.
Yeah,
Awesome.
this is Roy.
What's up, brother?
He's an extremely fast conveyor welder. I think he broke the record for single conveyors welded in a day at one point. So
Beautiful.
you know, we got a couple other good ones too. But how long does it take you to start to finish the welder?
This one's like a special one. It's 1 day.
1 day?
The regular
Yeah.
one's like 2 hours, 3 hours.
2 hours, 3 hours. That's pretty good. So typically what we do is these things are made in kind of 3 separate processes. So first process is they'll do these sides. We call them the guitars right here. Second process is they weld the sides to the head, and that creates basically from here over. And then the third step is what we call the trough here, right? And then if you look right here, this pivot point, what that does is it allows the conveyor to flip down, and then you'll see later, you can stack these up in a truck now, and then what that does is you get like 2.5 times the amount in a truck, which saves a lot of freight costs for our customers. So it's not always about how do you lower your price. We try to get creative about how do we problem solve things for our customers and lower their cost or add value to them in that way. So
Very cool.
This is our CDF. We saw that on the YCM and machine. So this actually is going to give you filtration that's going to get you down to 35 to 40 microns of nominal filtration. A standard conveyor has a coolant hole and the coolant just flows out of it.
Okay.
This here is different. We're actually going to put a disc that's on the outside of the frame of the conveyor, and that disc is going to have a stainless steel media on it. This happens to be for a 16-inch disc. So that screen, again being stainless steel, it's really robust. So all the coolant has to flow out the bottom of that. And what happens is when the belt is moving, the disc is rotating, and we have a coolant blow-off system. And that coolant blow-off system, that's what it's a self-cleaning system. Here's the disc assembly that we were talking about. So again, the coolant's going to flow through there. As the belt rotates, the disc rotates as well. And we have a backwash pump that is a self-cleaning system. This particular one is a hinge belt conveyor, but we can make this with a scraper belt as well. So depending on what type of chips you're actually going to be moving, on that YCM that we had over at AME, that actually had a scraper belt conveyor. Here's an example of a scraper belt conveyor here, but this particular one doesn't have that CDF technology. It has just a regular coolant slot for the coolant carrier. This is actually a 2.5-inch pitch belt conveyor. You can see it's a bigger, more robust type system. And depending on what application you have, the type of chips that you're producing, the volume of chips you're producing would determine what type of conveyor would be best suited for your application.
I always think about it as like you want a Ferrari, right? You buy a nice Ferrari machine, you want to put some good tires on it, right?
Exactly.
Not trying to put some crappy tires on a good car.
Yeah.
So all the peripherals we make, I liken to accessories you put onto the car, right, to make it good. But
We used to be able to put like maybe 18 of these type of conveyors in a dedicated truck. Now that we've developed this folding technique, we can put as many as 52 conveyors in one truck. We weld the conveyors, we laser cut them, we bent them, we welded them over there. Roy does a great job. From there, we stack them up for paint. We powder coat that 4-stage powder coating that we talked about. Here's some conveyors that are actually already painted and ready for final assembly. So what we do is we marry these up with the belts and the skids, and that's what behind you, that's where we're doing that final assembly work.
get all the components and then they just snap these things together, and we got crimping machines over there. Actually, AME in our advanced engineering area that we saw earlier was actually building us our new sets of crimping machines. So
very cool.
We can build ourselves our own machinery,
Yeah.
which is nice. At some point in the future, he'll be telling me all the things I'm doing wrong.
Oh,
Right.
like you did to your dad?
Goes to Power Protect now, all that data center work we're talking about. Customers like Facebook, Amazon, Google, Apple, building data centers like crazy right now. AI especially is just accelerating the growth of that. So our customer demand is booming like crazy. We're backlogs working on 2027 right now, trying to fill up that capacity. So we actually have to reserve capacity sometimes for customers. That's how much demand is outpacing the supply right now. So most of our processes we create, when I was talking about our mission of making our customers successful, what that resulted is we usually design our processes starting at the end and then work our way upstream. And the thought process is, here's what you're required to do. We communicate, this is what you're required to do, right? And then we ask everyone, how do you want all your inputs to come in to help you be best successful? And those inputs become the requirements for the upstream process to be done in that way. So if you look at something like this, you'll see this big enclosure unit. There's a certain way we want to build that, right? There's a certain panel they always want first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, right? So what we do is then we work backwards. We want to make sure we supply them with that in the same way. So you see these tree carts here. They hold 14 shelves. Each one is put with exactly the parts that they need first. So if you look at something like this, cart 5 of 7. That means 7 tree carts filled with parts are required to build this job, right? Each one in here is the next part that they're going to need, right? So you don't have to wait till all 7 carts are here because that takes up a ton of space, right? You just need cart 1 of 7 and then they can get started. Then cart 2 of 7, they can get started. And this is how we help make our assemblers be successful. So powder coat's required to send them parts in this way because that's the way they need to build it. And then, yeah, this one's about to be finished up. This will be finished up on our night shift. But if you look out in the parking lot, every single day, our target is to get 10 units. We got probably like between 20 and 30 in our parking lot right now. A lot of these will get moved to a storage facility or go to our building right across the way and then get attached to the main units. But yeah, every day we've set a target of we want 10 of these out the garage door every single day. And then that could supply the rest of the company with our current demand at the moment. So
Very cool.
basically all those enclosures, we basically assemble in walls right here. You get everyone together, bolt these things together. We put a lifting channel on it after that, and then we lift it all up as one section, and then you do that 4 times, you got a square, right? So it's important for us to have everyone understand what our mission is. So you're gonna see that star in a lot of different places. We have daily success meetings in the shop floor, in the offices, and all the time, and that's where we really every day strive to make sure we're operating to our mission, helping our customers be successful. If inputs didn't come in the best way possible, we figure out what didn't work right and how do we improve it for the next day.
So what's all going on right here?
All right here we have our 4-stage powder coat booth. We actually put 2 lines right next to each other so we can run double the amount through. And we had to do that because of number 1, space constraints, but number 2, we can get an incredible amount of throughput through this paint booth every day with just getting creative of how we load up carts and go like that. But we run this 2 shifts, at least 20 out of 24 hours a day. I've created something I call a process success map. And really that is just the rules of how these people want to receive their parts and what they're responsible to do. And we build a map, and if everyone follows this, the process runs smooth, right? We get hit targets, everything operates. If not, we measure every time something didn't get sent to one of these processes the right way, we measure what happened wrong. We call it complete and accurate. So anything that prevents you from having it done as best as possible, we'll measure it. And every day we look at it in one of our daily success meetings and problem solve how to make that not happen again, right? So little by little, it's like, can you get 1% better every day? Even a 0.5% better every day. Over time, you can start getting really good. Some of that other stuff we showed you is what gets attached to the ends of these big enclosures here. So you can see most units require insulation and then perforation in the top. So we'll assemble it in the flat, build it together, and then like we were talking about earlier, build a lifting channel. You build an enclosure. If you can see that one without the roof right now,
Yep.
that's where that's going to go onto in a second. The end customer is going to be a Google, Apple, a Meta. I always say Facebook, I guess it's Meta now. And then the middleman is often like a Rolls-Royce or a Caterpillar who supply us the engines. You'll see a Rolls-Royce one right here, or MTU. They'll supply us these big engines. We'll build either a base or a dual-wall diesel fuel tank. The engine gets put on there, we connect it all up. And again, these big enclosures then will lift it all up over top. That's why you have such tall ceilings here and tall cranes. So lift that all over top, And then there's a lot of wiring it up, connecting it, testing it, making sure it runs right. And then this entire big unit will then ship out as a whole assembly. And yeah, we ship multiple out per day. The goal is every bay, a tack time of 1 or 2 days is the target. So there's controls, there's electrical, there's lighting, there's things like airflow, noise. All these things have to hit certain parameters on the customer, the regulations of the area it's going into.
With the success you have here and the scale of profitability, it lets you kind of take these risks and chances on other businesses and say, let's continue to grow.
Right before you walked up, it was like, well, what's going on with like the sales side of this? And I'm like, at the beginning, there was a lot more of a selling effort. Now a lot of our salespeople become like project managers.
Of course.
Just because, I mean, the customer, I mean, we're booking 2027.
Yeah.
Like we're filling up right now, so.
What's going on right here?
So here is all the parts for an X9 style conveyor that we're making for...
Wait, so the conveyors are actually built right here
in the
Rockford, Illinois.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Put it on the side.
We're making them for a little company you may have heard of called Titans of CNC. So.
Boom. So good.
Yeah, man. 2 X7s and an X9. We're just waiting on some special paint so they match and look crisp, and then we're ready to rock.
Very nice, man.
It's for Amazon. The reason why it's double stacked is because space is such a value right there. So really they're trying to get a footprint in here. Those plenums stack up 3 stories high, and that's on top of that's a cleaning unit for the diesel. So to stay within all the regulations, all the environmental stuff. But yeah, this is the first time we've taken on something like this, and it fit together perfect. It's the first time we ever built one like this, but there'll be more.
You look at Noah coming down, you look at how big this thing is. That's a part right there. That's crazy. Dual generator enclosure, stacked for spacing. Oh, this thing is crazy. The world is changing. This one is for Amazon right here, but like all the major companies are building them.
The engines actually can't suck fuel very high. They really only have like about 5 feet of draw. So for the upper unit, we actually have a pump control system. So this will drop fuel from this main tank and pump it up to the top tank.
Awesome.
And it'll keep fluid going up there because these things burn around roughly like 186 an hour, 186 gallons an hour.
Wow.
Unfortunately for the test run, I actually can't use this tank. I have to use a secondary one, otherwise there's no way we'd ever be able to ship this fuel tank.
I knew Hennig was big, but we just came from like 6 buildings down the street. I'm just driving down and then you see Help Wanted, Hennig, and like this huge facility right here. This entire thing, that's Hennig right there. American manufacturing happening right here. Boom. So this entire building back there, that's all you guys just built it?
Yeah, that's our newest one. It's just got put up in the last year.
Awesome.
We haven't even finished filling up all the bays yet, so got a couple left to fill up, but in a couple months, they'll be all filled out, pumping out genset units every single day.
Crazy. And I see the Help Wanted sign, so you guys are hiring. Like what are you hiring for?
I mean, we need welders, we need assemblers, we need laser operators, press brake operators, electricians.
Everything.
So yeah, if you're looking for a job and you're in this area, hit us up. I mean,
awesome.
We'll hire
and then how do they find you? Just go to Hennig?
Yeah, you can go to our website on henniginc.worldwide, I believe it is. And then we have a separate website for the Power Protect. We'll give you that link too.
Cool.
And then we have like half a dozen different recruiting things going on at the same time. So whether it's the news, you can find us at the Ice Hogs game. You can see us at the Academia, Rock Valley College, Rock Valley Technology Center, various high schools around here. So
that's awesome.
We'll take anybody and everybody that wants to be a good worker.
You guys are working with the trade schools and stuff.
Yeah.